Chris Stephens.
Thank you, Mr Dowd. It's a pleasure to see you in the chair, and can I commend the Honourable Member for Hackney South and Shoreditch for leading this debate, and an excellent speech it was too, and indeed commend the speeches of my good friends from Neath and the Kinnan Valley. And as the Honourable Member for Kinnan Valley said, and I completely agree with her, that the ongoing cost of the ongoing cost of living crisis has clearly demonstrated the inherent dangers of communities being reliant on companies motivated by profit for essentials like food and housing. And it is vital that cooperatives and social enterprise organisations, those that prioritise supporting communities, receive that adequate funding, not just from local authorities, not just from devolved administrations, but central government too. Now, Mr Dowd, I listened intently to a number of colleagues who provided a bit of history on cooperatives, and that's absolutely correct, because cooperatives have existed for centuries. Indeed, Mr Dowd, the cooperative movement predates the British Labour Party, as is demonstrated because in Glasgow South West and Govan in 1777, the Govan Victualling Society became Scotland's second cooperative, picked by the village of Fenwick. And indeed, the book on cooperatives, when describing what's happening in 1777, describes Govan as a pretty village on the banks of the Clyde, just outside Glasgow, because, of course, the people of Govan, some of whom still demonstrate the decision in 1912 to bring Govan into the city of Glasgow for local authority purposes. But I'm not here to describe that part of Govan's history, Mr Dowd, but to demonstrate that we can learn the lessons from the past, and indeed the memory of that society founded in 1777 now lives on today in the constituency of Glasgow South West. As you will know, Mr Dowd, I am privileged to be the chair of Good Food Scotland, and Good Food Scotland, along with a number of organisations, assisted the great organisation Govan Help, which transitioned during the COVID pandemic away from emergency food parcels to become a cooperative pantry. And the work of Good Food Scotland is thriving, Mr Dowd, with the help of both the Scottish Government and Glasgow City Council. We now have 6 and rising number of cooperative larders run by Good Food Scotland, with a membership so far of 1,500. That membership is rising. And how vital is that, Mr Dowd? Well, the average saving for a weekly shop using one of these Good Food larders is an average of £20 a week. But we have an example just this week from the Linthouse larder of a couple who go to a regular supermarket and have calculated their weekly shop was £80, but using a Good Food Scotland larder in Linthouse, their weekly shopping is now £30. Now, if that doesn't tell you, Mr Dowd, that we really need to not only promote the great work that cooperatives are doing, but to look at the excess profits, I would suggest, of supermarkets in particular, and to whether companies like that are making excess profits should be perhaps contributing a bit more in the taxation system, I think is something that we really should be debating. And indeed, Mr Dowd, I think the work that we're doing in relation to food and eliminating food poverty, I think backs the principles of my private member's bill, the Food Poverty Strategy Bill, in which I'm asking the government to produce a food poverty strategy to eliminate the need for food banks by the year 2030. If Joe Biden's America can look at producing a food poverty strategy to eliminate food banks in America by 2030, I think that we can learn lessons in this nation-state to do that as well. Now, Mr Dowd, the cooperatives, they are a business or organisation that's owned and controlled by its members to meet their shared needs. The members can be its customers, its employees, residents or suppliers, and who have a say in how a cooperative is run. In 2020, just 1% of UK businesses were co-ops, but more co-ops are opening in response to the ongoing cost of living crisis, and a vital job they are doing 2. In January last year, Cooperation Town had 6 co-ops in their network. That's now more than tripled to 21. Now, I believe cooperatives are providing a vital service to those struggling through the current crisis. The soaring food prices we're seeing in supermarkets, I've said, are a clear example of why we need organisations that prioritise fairness and support their local communities. The current cost of greed crisis is a stark reminder of the dangers when companies selling essential supplies prioritise their profit margins above all else. And I'm delighted to give way to my friend from Neath.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way. He is really a friend of the workers. And what I find so inspiring today, and I'm sure he'll agree, is that Wales, Scotland, England have come together to work together to show the value of cooperation and the amazing impact that cooperatives are having across the UK.
Yeah, I think my good friend from Neath, she too is a friend of the worker. In fact, I once said that to her when she was in your very spot, Mr Dowd, when I said that the honourable member was indeed a friend of a worker on a debate on workers' rights. But she is correct to say that the cooperative movement needs to grow in the country and how vital the job it's doing. And you see that not just cooperatives, I would argue credit unions are based on the cooperative model, and credit unions too, I think, are playing a vital role in helping people with their finances, helping people make the savings, helping people with loans that are affordable, and whilst they're making savings. And I think that the great work that credit union movement is doing too, who I view as a cooperative, should be congratulated too in this debate, because they're playing a vital role in helping people manage their money. And the less we say about some of the bigger banks, probably the better, because I think, Mr Dowd, I would probably veer into unparliamentary language, and I'm sure you would not allow me to do such a thing, Mr Dowd. Oh, Mr Dowd, going back to the debate, if I can. According to the House of Commons Library, in 2021-22, there were 4.7 million people, or 7% of the UK population, in food poverty. That includes 12% of children. In 2022-23, the Trussell Trust supplied the highest recorded number of 3-day emergency food parcels. It's hardly surprising then, given soaring levels of food poverty, that the number of cooperatives in the UK is also growing in response to meet that challenge. And in January last year, Cooperation Town had 6, as I said, they've tripled their number of co-ops. FareShare, Mr Dowd, the largest distributor of charitable and surplus food in Britain, supplies about 9,500 groups, including food banks, co-ops, community cafes and school clubs. Currently has a waiting list of 1,500 organisations. That tells you the challenge that's out there in dealing with the cost of living crisis. As their head of marketing has noted, we believe this is just the tip of the iceberg for the number of charities and community groups needing more support. We do not have enough food to meet this soaring demand, so we're asking the government to provide us with £25 million to help us unlock an additional 42,500 tonnes of surplus food. 42,500 tonnes, Mr Dowd. That's the equivalent of 100 million meals to people worst off by the cost of living crisis. That tells you, Mr Dowd, the very real challenge that's out there facing the citizens across these islands. This idea that the growing demand for affordable food is an indictment of lack of action in providing adequate support through the cost of living crisis is echoed by other stakeholders. Now, Mr Dowd, co-ops have I think they have the potential to offer a real, sustainable solution to the ongoing housing crisis. It's not just in the context of essentials like food that we're seeing companies take advantage of the ongoing crisis to disguise hiking their prices. Increasingly, we're seeing landlords are also taking advantage of the cost of living crisis to charge exorbitant prices for accommodation. And while the Scottish Government has taken decisive action to support people through that housing crisis through introducing a rent freeze and a moratorium on evictions, I'm afraid to say the UK Government has taken no action to protect people from that crisis. So like food prices, Mr Dowd, soaring housing costs don't impact everyone equally. As Chloe Field, the National Union of Students Vice President for Higher Education, has said, the unprecedented housing shortage was jeopardising students' university experience and forcing them to make difficult decisions. She noted, without urgent action to increase the amount of affordable housing, it's inevitable that both dropouts and students' homelessness will increase. Mr Dowd, those on low incomes are paying a hefty price for the lack of action in tackling that housing crisis. One charity warned that student housing is reaching a crisis point not seen since the 1970s. And as a result of this, Mr Dowd, housing cooperatives are becoming increasingly popular, particularly among students who have set up student cooperative homes. The Student Cooperative Homes organisation notes, we've known from elsewhere in the world, this model works and is replicable at scale. And there are now 4 such co-ops in the UK, housing over 130 students in Birmingham, Edinburgh, Sheffield and Brighton, plus active groups looking to secure property in Belfast, Bristol, Manchester, Nottingham and, of course, the great city of Glasgow. Further inquiries are coming in the coming months. They're being used as a solution for people who are being priced out of buying a home in their local communities. And I hope, Mr Dowd, that when the Minister responds, we'll hear about what the Government is doing to help these housing cooperatives, making sure that there's affordable housing, and how we're very much having to deal with food poverty. Whether the Government will support my private member's bill and what action they're taking to address food poverty and the support they're going to give food cooperatives. Thank you.